everybody, and welcome to this installment of the Dark Vault. I'm one half of the Brohio podcast, a.k.a. the delicious Nickalicious. I am all by my lonesome here in the Brohio studios. Unfortunately, Rob Diggity Dangle Dog, my sweetest man boo, is off celebrating the birth anniversary of one of his children. So congratulations to one of his little buddies. I think he's got two kids that have birthdays at the exact same time in January, right after Christmas. So that is rest in peace to Rob Dog's wallet. I miss him dearly, and I really don't know what to do here without him. But I do have a very special Dark Vault episode lined up here. This is going to be kind of along the lines of the Mexican cartel. Yes, the ones that behead people on the street and leave their heads laying on the sidewalk. The Mexican Mafia. This fellow, he is married. No, he's not married in my family. So my wife, she is from Phoenix, where there is a very strong Hispanic community. One of her blood cousins had a child many, many years ago with a Hispanic fellow. So she has a second cousin who is very entrenched deep in the Mexican heritage, the Hispanic heritage down there in Southwest America. I think he's gone a lot of places and done a lot of wild things. The winds brought him here to my hometown near Dayton, Ohio for a brief amount of time, and he was staying with us, and I got to know him a little bit. And just one night we went to go pick up some carryout, and I started asking questions, and he kind of opened up that he wasn't around my wife, and he kind of said, that he had a background with the Mexican Mafia or the cartel. I can't remember exactly. He's called it the Mafia, but they might be the same thing. I'm not 1,000,000% sure. So he confided in me some stories, and he's like, yeah, bro, this shit's fucking crazy. And I'm just listening. I'm just thinking, this is some scary ass shit. And I said, how would you like to do the podcast with us? And he said, dude, I promise I will do it with you. Absolutely. So here he's going to be on the episode here in just a few moments. I'm not using his real name out of respect for him. I think he would have agreed for me to use his real first name. Actually, I'm not sure that he would have. I told him that I wasn't going to use his real first name, and he said, I really do appreciate that. And I'm also going to shift his voice a little bit, because one thing I do know about my time around the MS-13s and the prison system, these are some cutthroat people that will absolutely gut you in an instant and take your life and step on it and squash it. Just, like I said in the beginning of the episode, they're cutting people's heads off, leaving heads on the streets. So I'm going to call him my cousin. Guerrero is the name that he prefers to go by. So Guerrero is going to come on the show. He's going to tell us about he was a runner for these guys for a while and did some stuff. And this stuff is going to be hitting me just like it's hitting you guys, because a lot of it I haven't heard about. It was just like a 10-minute drive to pick up food, and just in those 10 minutes, he's like, I did this, I did that. And then today, when I was setting it all up, he said, I don't have to embellish anything here, dude. I got so many wild stories that your listeners just aren't going to believe. I said, well, bring it on. He's also a very spiritual man. I don't want to necessarily say religious, because that's not something I would coin anybody with. You are what you are, but he's very spiritual. The spiritual motor is always moving with him, and I think that he's got a lot of things that he's done over the years that we're going to pick his brain about, and he's got a lot of good stories. And last time I interviewed a close family member, or close family friend, was the Rowdy for the biker chick episode, and that went over wonderfully. Everyone seemed to love her. Everyone really seemed to enjoy that episode. So hopefully we can squeeze 45 minutes to an hour out of our friend Guerrero here. I'm going to go ahead and dial him up on the old Facebook Messenger. But if you don't mind, let's take 1 minute or two for a quick word from some of our predetermined sponsors. All right, we're back from we had an advertisement pause right there, but we're back with, you said your name way different than I pronounced. I said Guerrero because I've just been watching wrestling my whole life, and Eddie Guerrero is like one of the best wrestlers of all time, but there's only one R, so it's Guerrero, right?
Yes, correct, Güero.
I'm not even going to try that again, buddy. So thanks so much for being on the show. I know this has been a long time coming. We talked about it. We were trying to get it where we were together, but unfortunately it didn't work out.
Yeah, unfortunately you didn't, man. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's all right. But we got right now. It's perfect. It's perfect time. No one's doing shit right now. Everyone's locked up inside their houses. In Arizona right now, I think that is the lockdown pretty strict right now, or are they eased up?
Yeah, actually, it's not really strict right now. We're not on lockdown or anything, unfortunately, and it's so crazy because we're actually one of the hot spots again. When COVID first started, we were a hot spot for the longest time, Maricopa County, especially where I'm from. And we're just back at it again. Our numbers just keep increasing. They're actually breaking records again, more than it first started.
Oh, that's fucking great news. That is great news for everybody
God bless
involved.
America.
America! Well, I just want to say, first off, man, I'm proud to call you family, and thank you so much for coming on the show. So I really do appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Proud to call you my family as well.
Familia, right?
Familia.
And whenever you were staying with us, you would talk to some of your family and friends there in the motherland in Mexico, and and I had no fucking idea what you were saying. But when you don't sound like, if I saw you on the street, I would be like, that guy probably doesn't speak any English at all. But you look very Hispanic, but you sound very non-Hispanic. Unless you want to sound Hispanic, then you can go, full Hispanic when you want to.
Yes, he is.
But whatever. So I kind of prefaced the show. I said, how there's the slight relation that, I shouldn't say slight relation, just how you and I are related through marriage and how the family tree worked. And I think that what I would want to start with is, I did say that your father was from Mexico, correct?
Correct.
And did you grow up in Mexico, or did you grow up in Phoenix?
I actually grew up in the west side of Phoenix, Arizona.
Is that bad?
Oh man, it's worse. The area that I'm from, it's called Maryvale, but people know it as Murdervale or Scaryvale.
Super. And I also talked about in the first 5 minutes of the episode how, you came here with us for several days, and how you at first you just kind of quiet, and then you and I went on a trip to pick up some carry out food, and you're like, yeah, man, I've seen some fucking shit. I'm like, all right, let's hear about that shit. And there was the 10-minute car ride there and back wasn't enough for us to even talk about a quarter of your story. So I told everyone that's listening, I said, I have no fucking idea. You guys are going to be hearing this story as I'm hearing it. So if this story really sucks, when we're done, I'm like, man, that fucking sucked. You told me that you had some good shit. But if it's really good, I'm going to be like, man, you are the OG. So let's start with, you explained to me, you kind of had you were an embattled youth. You kind of were, I don't want to call you a bad kid. You just kind of
I was an adolescent.
You're a juvenile delinquent, I guess is the word to say it.
Yeah, like I said, I first started out as an adolescent, didn't grow up with my parents. My dad was, a drunk, and he was a hard work. I'm not going to say he wasn't, but when he was home, he was just drunk and outside drinking all the time. And my mom was on drugs, so just coming out from adolescence like that, of course, the juvenile delinquency just kind of just popped up. One day I was trying to do good. I had a car and everything, and then I got kicked out, and I found myself needing to pay rent, and so me, being able to hablar español kind of got to me, well, I'm 16. Um, I can't really go to school right now because I need to worry about where I'm going to live. How am I going to make money? I can't work full time. So what did that leave me to do? In the streets of Phoenix, it's very, very, very easy, especially coming where I'm from, to get money and make money. And so real quick, I came up with the $40, and as soon as I came up with $40, I bought my first big amount of merchandise. And it's crazy, because $40, normally people in the streets can't buy big, but with my
No.
ties, I was. So I got in like that, and ever since then, I started making money, and yeah, I can't even say I was blessed, but at the end of the day, I definitely was blessed to live that life because I'm here today to live, a better
Sure.
testimony. So
Well,
whatever I went through, man, Arizona, crazy.
it got you. Yeah, it got you where you are right now. Let's take a step back because a lot of people a lot of people stick to the road they know, and that means kind of going by doing the things that they see their mother or their father do. Was your dad was he wrapped up with the Mexican Mafia or the cartel or anything like that growing up?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, he was actually. My family is from Jalisco, and Jalisco is a very, very important state to the drug cartel and all of the drug and money laundering out there. It's crazy how our ties are, because no matter which way I look at it, my dad and my family, they are coyotes and they cross people over the border, so they make sure that they get, to the United States. But at the same time, if you don't pay and you're in the United States, well, what are you doing? And
Yeah.
it's most certainly not anything nice. I've been in these houses, man, and they have families down there, and it's not just saying anything against my family or anything, because this is years ago, but it's just, it's crazy, it's heartbreaking,
Yeah, I can
because you
imagine.
have families that are in houses, and they're being fed the most minimal, they're being given tortillas and beans, and they're sharing one bathroom and they're crowded,
Yeah,
and they are there until their families can pay to get them out. And it's not a pretty penny, but
sure.
it's still something.
Has your dad been? Has he been deported before?
Yeah, my dad's actually been deported about 5, 6 times.
Jesus, man. Were you, was there ever? Was it
Yeah,
ever?
but
Was there ever like a
lucky,
raid? Was there like a raid deal that
yeah,
you saw go down inside your house or?
yeah, actually, so sorry I mentioned that. That was actually one of the most craziest moments I had with my father, because growing up, I remember sometimes people being in our living room like, hey, who's that? And like, oh, that's your uncle from that place. Oh, okay, where's he going? Oh, he's going to Connecticut. So it's like out here, like, dude, we're in a border state, and you're talking about going out East Coast. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
so I'm like, yeah, sure. And so then all of a sudden, I was in the fourth grade. I had met my best friend, and this was the first time that I was actually able to live a normal life. I found a
sure.
best friend, so I wasn't at home where I saw all the abuse and, getting malnourished even, so I was across the street at my best friend's house.
Yeah.
And, quick side story, I actually told them that us Hispanics only ate twice a day, not knowing that us Hispanics don't actually eat twice a day, but in my
Yeah.
household we did. So it was
Yeah.
really weird when I found that out as I was older. But this particular night, it was weird because for some odd reason, okay, and this is why I believe more in Christ, is because for some odd reason, my little brother, being not even in kindergarten yet, okay, so he was barely starting out to be kindergarten, he was 4 years old, and my little sister being in the second grade and me being in the fourth grade, we all spent the night at my friend's house across the street. And it was weird because they've never spent the night before. And so we were going to camp out in the backyard and have our marshmallows and watch out Malcolm in the Middle.
Good
So,
shit.
yeah, So, after doing that, we hear a knock on the door, and it's my aunt. And she's talking to my best friend's parents or whatnot. And I get called over, and the best friend's parent says, hey, your aunt comes to pick you up. Is this your aunt? I say, yeah. Like, how well do you know her? Is she nice to you? Boom, boom, all on the side, because she
Yeah.
knows who my family is. And I said, no, yeah, she's my mom's sister. She's a nurse, this, that, and the other, because she was.
Right.
And so we get released to her. She takes us to our grandmother's house, and that's where they tell us what went down. So while we were at across the street, our house had gotten raided.
Do you know who
They
it got
busted
raided?
down our door.
Do you know who raided the house?
Yeah, the U.S. Marshal, along with the SWAT team, they
Okay.
paired up and they raided the house. They looked specifically for my dad. They had a picture for him. So when they busted down the door, mind you, just because us kids weren't there, we are Hispanic. My cousins lived with us, and they were really tiny at the time.
Yeah.
They did not care. They just went busting down the door like my dad was some drug lord, and it's just like,
Was he a drug lord?
So sad. He was there. So
well, I'm saying,
was so,
was your dad a drug lord though?
No, he was not a drug lord. All he did was cross people over and help, if they needed a place to stay after they paid, then offer up our house so they could stay for a couple nights.
Cool.
So that's why it was so aggravating, for them to knock down the door and see my dad, and just completely just push him over, not even asking who he is or anything, just push him over, and bust up his face and stuff and put him in handcuffs. My uncles get scared, they start running, and of course they have the alley filled up with agents, so they break my uncle's back almost by pushing him, and they're stomping on his neck, and they're telling him not to move, stop refusing.
Well, that was 20 years ago. That was a different time, though, as far as law enforcement and stuff, though.
Yeah, and it definitely was a different time. It was in 2006.
Yeah, it's still inexcusable, but, it is what it is.
Right, yeah, it's inexcusable, but I mean the resources that they have now, they ain't have body cams like they do now or anything, so it's a little bit more different. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely was excessive force, and for my aunt, with the newborn baby just coming from Mexico, and they had nothing to do with it, they had no idea. They just came from Mexico. They were innocent, go to church every Sunday, and she was just crying, and the baby's crying. And so just there's a lot of misunderstanding when people think of raiding a house, where it's just like pointing guns and get down. Most certainly not, or at least not when you're brown skin.
Yeah. Well, I think that when you've lived it, man, when you've walked in those shoes, when you've walked in those zapatos, I studied a little bit for this episode. When you walk in those shoes, man, it's a little bit different, much like, for instance, if for someone that loves a drug addict, for someone to say, well, just let him fucking die. Like it's one less person. Well, for the person that loves that drug addict, it's a different experience, man. It's a different kind of, you can't experience all the perspectives about a certain situation. So for your dad just to have a house and say, I'm going to, my loved ones and my friends that I've known my whole life, or these people that I'm doing favors for, I'm just going to let them stay here for a night. All he's doing is letting them stay in his house for a night or two. I know for some people they'd be like, well, that's fucking, they're fucking illegal aliens and all this shit. But to say that is not right, I don't respect that, because you haven't put yourself in that person's shoes. Imagine coming from a place where your government takes everything. Well, your government doesn't give you anything, or doesn't take care of you. You can't take care of yourself because where you're from is so poor. Like the places you work can't even afford to pay you, and you're just trying to go to a better place, man. I get it, and I respect the fact. I respect your life experiences, and I respect the fact. You shouldn't. I don't. And you never said this, but you shouldn't feel ashamed of where you came from and who your family is and shit like that. I don't think you should ever feel that way. And you haven't ever said that to me, and you've never expressed. I think you should be proud of your heritage and proud of where you came from, because you're standing on your 2 feet right now, man. You saw your way through that shit, and here you fucking are. So you're like
heck yeah.
You're a testament to just pushing through and being a good person.
Oh, for sure, man. Thank you so much. And it's a crazy thing because what I am personally, is who I am is I'm güero.
Yeah,
Why am I güero? Because tuve que sobrevivir. I needed to sobrevivir. Like I don't know how to say that word in English, to be honest. Maybe survive. Yeah,
yeah,
I needed to survive.
yeah,
The streets are rough out there, especially in Arizona. And um, one thing that describes me beyond anything is Chicano. Because that's who I want people to remember me as. Is I'm not a Mexican, and you're messed up if you think that Latinos is any person like me because you're really wrong,
yeah.
and there's a lot of people who don't understand, so real quick, I'm Chicano. Chicano is when you have one parent that is Hispanic and the other parent is born here in the motherland, you
Okay.
know, great old America. I love America. So God bless us. God bless America. My mom was born here in America. She was born here in Phoenix, Arizona. My dad was born in Jalisco, Mexico. And so, boom, here I am, Chicano. The first generation Chicanos were able to come existent in about the 50s and 60s. That's when all of a sudden people started migrating and they had babies, So in the
Yeah.
50s and 60s, the first generation Chicanos were made. And everyone kept thinking of us as malandros. We're terrible people. We're people in the street that just mess shit up, and
Right.
that's not true. We have a beautiful heritage. And we were always misperceived by everyone. Just because we had brown skin, we weren't able to associate ourselves with our white families.
Yeah.
Because racism is still a thing, and
Right.
was a big thing back then. So if our dad got a white girl pregnant, then we had no association with our other side of the family whatsoever, and that's
Wow.
just how it was, so it was only that. But I mean, you're still living in poverty because you're still a Mexican, so you're not the best life or anything. And for a
Yeah.
white person to be in love or to be impregnated by a Mexican, well, what kind of lifestyle were you living? You obviously weren't rich, so we
Yeah.
had to suffer our whole lives, man. In Phoenix, Arizona, being tied down. I remember living on 43rd Avenue in Osborne, being about like second grade, and my family, and when I say my family, in this term, I mean my family that's basically adopted, not all the time is your blood family.
Sure.
So my family, um, they're mafia related, Sinaloa mafia. They control these apartments, and unfortunately, one day when I went to go throw out a diaper for one of my younger siblings, I saw a dead body by the canal. And
Yeah.
so, it was nothing new for me. I've seen people get shot or whatnot since young. I've seen drive-by happens. I mean, I'm from Murderville. I'm from Scaryville, It is what
Okay.
it is. I had dreams about this all the time when I was younger. It was nothing
Yeah.
new. So I go upstairs and I tell my mama, and my mama tells me, well, don't go down there anymore. You got to throw it somewhere else, Remember plenty of times the mafia would whistle real quick. They, two whistles, and that means get down. All of a sudden, a mafia member would go in our house, and turn
Yeah.
off the lights. He'd be in the living room, and we'd be in the hallway, with all the doors closed. Get down, away from the windows, ready for the shootout to happen.
Shit,
There's
man.
plenty of times to where, shoot, shootouts will happen just random times. I remember one time my dad was coming home from work and we called my dad, don't come, don't come. My dad, being who he is,
Yeah.
stubborn. He's like, nope, I'm going. And he just got out of his car and walked into our apartment. We're like, oh my goodness, and you didn't get shot. But man, it's crazy. I've been chased by I've been chased by helicopters. I've been chased by sheriff, and
You're
for
like
me, like
Grand, you have 5 stars
I'm,
on Grand Theft Auto, dude.
oh man, I wish, like, and that's a psychopath in me,
Yeah.
that's the part that's kind of iffy about me, is
Well,
I
let
wish.
let's regroup. Let's regroup for a second here. We are gonna get to the running from the helicopters and shit, but before we get there, you talked about being an adolescent. I called you a juvenile delinquent, whatever it was. That's kind of when you started to pick up. That's when you started to work for yourself and associate yourself with with a gang, I should say. And I don't know the difference between you say the mafia, and when I think about the bad guys, I think about the cartel. I don't know if the mafia and the cartel are the same thing. I know whenever I worked in the prison system, I dealt with the MS-13s a lot, but I don't know the difference between the Mexican Mafia and the cartel. So what's the difference there?
Yeah. So the difference between the Mexican Mafia and the cartels are usually like provinces, like the like MS-13, that's a cartel, and that I forgot where it originates from. I don't want to be called out on it.
Yeah, no, you're
but
good.
It comes from a certain area. But then when it comes from the mafia is very strict. The mafia is totally different from the cartel, because what the cartel specializes in is really like human trafficking, money laundering, and compared to the mafia really deals with the making of money, the making of heroin and cocaine. We don't really do, I'm sorry, we don't, listen to me. They don't really deal with human trafficking. They're not really responsible for that.
Okay, and the way you explain it to me, kind of like when it started, you said, I was a teenager and I was smoking a little bit of dope, and then these someone took a liking to you, or someone decided like, hey, this kid is okay to hang around a little more than just buying a little bit of dope. So at what point did you start to align yourself with someone that kind of got you into that mode where you were making money?
Well, see, making money, my mom was a hustler, so I was born a hustler, always making my money, whether it was selling an Xbox, my Yu-Gi-Oh games, whatever it was. Hey, hustling's hustling, you got to start the hustle.
No, I get it. This podcast is a hustle, bro.
Right, exactly. So I when I turned 12 years old, I started smoking weed. Growing up in Maryville, west side of Phoenix. When I turned 16, I moved to the north side of Phoenix, and that's called the Square. It's called the Square because, funny you mentioned MS-13. MS-13 and MBP-21, which stands for Mexican Brown Pride 21st Street, were at war in the Square. And
Jesus.
So that's the area I grew up in. Or that's the area that I ended up growing up in, born and raised in Maryville, but then moved to the Square, and that's where I really, smoking, so I got to meet new friends, showed them how to smoke. And so when I needed money, it was really, really easy for me to just hit up the friends that I showed how to smoke to get money, And since they know who I am, they know that I'm from Murderville, they're scared of me. They say, oh, snap, this is the OG. He showed me how to smoke. He needs to get up. I'll help him up, So
Yeah.
He helped me up or whatnot. And then all of a sudden, I was just selling, and my cousin, we were just partying. I used to sing. I used to be a second voice singer. I went to a party and I was just selling, and all of a sudden, my cousin was like, well, you know what? You're making good money. You need more money. And I never sold heroin, or I never sold cocaine. It never went from Maryville to cocaine, it never went from marijuana to cocaine.
Okay.
It went straight from marijuana to heroin.
Jesus Christ, man. That's good. That's that's good money right there, brah.
Yep, 17 years old. My cousin went up to me and was like, you know what, you're making good money. I talked to my boss. He wants you in. So
when you say he talked to his boss, who was his boss?
I don't even know his boss's name.
Okay. Well, you don't have to use names. Just like it was someone from the Mexican Mafia, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Someone from the Mexican Mafia. And they brought it straight from the border. So it was no middleman or anything. We got it straight from the border. And I didn't know this at first, So at first I was going in like, okay, I was putting in money, getting money because I was putting in work. And between me and my cousin, we ran 3 apartments.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, everyone got mad, because my cousin's name is Little.
You got to remember, we got a lot of fucking uncultured, uneducated people listening to this podcast. So when you say you were running 3 apartments, like, were you like, you guys were kind of like in 3 apartments dealing the heroin, or like were you guys when you say you were running 3 apartments, what do you mean?
Gotcha. Sorry. So running 3 apartments. One apartment we put an old man. that liked to cook and that liked heroin as well. So he was up all the time cooking. And so we
Love
said,
it.
you know what, we're gonna put you here, we're gonna have you cook because we got these people with food stamps, tweaking people. We got people with food stamps, so you're gonna cook for them. This is a 2-bedroom apartment. You have this living room, have a nice setup, have your home, here you go. This is where the tweakers come and sleep. Apartment number 2, that's where all the tweakers go to get high. You can't really have people working for you if they can't enjoy their high and respect you. So I give them a place where they can smoke the drugs that I gave them, which costed me a little less than $1, compared to $30 that it would cost them.
The
cost me
people
like
that worked for you,
$7.
though, right? Just the people that worked for you.
Yeah, only the people that work for me.
Okay.
Were allowed. They only got that price, and I'd show up to all 3 apartments and be like, hey, you don't work for me, get out, or am I recruiting you? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then apartment number 3, that was just an apartment that they took all the speakers, subwoofers, laptops, bikes, whatever they can get into that apartment, they take in there. And that's where we sold it online.
Oh, wow. So that's what it means to run 3 apartments. You said that so casually, and it's like a big fucking deal, man. So I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah, so that's what it means to run 3 apartments. After a while, people started getting mad because my name was Güero and my cousin's name was Güero, so they would call me Güerito. And they're like, pinche Güerito, fucking Güerito, he's making a lot of money, this, that, and the other. And they were mad because my boss was telling them, hey, you're over here getting mad, but little Güerito, 17 years old, is bringing in double as you.
Yeah.
And so what my boss did for me is this is when I knew that there was no middleman. He put me out to the test. He hired me to sing. And so I went out to a party with my truck and everything, and he put a lift kit on my truck, and he put HID lights, hit kit.
Mm-hmm.
And so after putting the hit kit on it, we were at the party, I was singing, we were making a music video, and he showed me everything, all of the bricks. And I was like, wow.
All the heroin.
He said, yeah, all heroin. And it's just crazy, going back through it because it's just, I'm blessed to be where I'm at right now, brother.
Oh, I get it, man. I get it. And now a quick word from some of our wonderful sponsors. Guys, I know it's a tough world out there right now, and things are different right now. I know there's things that can get in the way of you achieving your personal goals. For instance, I was down in the dumps over this, of everything, just kind of being away from my family and being away from my friends. I felt like I was running in a never-ending circle until I reached out to the wonderful professionals at BetterHelp. BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. And they're going to connect with you in a safe and private online environment. So it's super convenient, guys. You can start communicating in under 24 hours. It's quick. It's so important to get that quick help too. And it's not self-help. It's professional counseling. And that's why it helped with me so tremendously. You can send a message to your counselor anytime, and they're going to be there to answer you. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, all without having to go sit in some weird, nasty office somewhere and be completely uncomfortable. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches so they can make it easy and free to change counselors if the need arises. Doesn't matter where you're at in the world or what you're trying to overcome. Depression, stress, anxiety, family conflicts, anger, grief, self-esteem, whatever it is, they can help you, and it's going to be completely discreet and confidential. And my favorite part, it's professional and it's affordable. You can check out the testimonials posted on their site daily. And in fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they're recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. And I want you to start living a happier life today. As a listener of the Brohio podcast, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting BetterHelp.com/Brohio. That's BetterHelp.com/Brohio. Join over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's betterhelp.com/Brohio. So this guy, like,
Yeah.
he shows you all this stuff, and he kind of like, a lot of people don't realize how the pyramid, like the drug pyramid, works. So these people above you, you weren't the only 3-bedroom apartment around. These guys had like dozens and dozens of 3-bedroom apartment setups, just like you were running, right?
Different areas. I better not find them in my area when it was at that time.
Okay. Now, if do you recall any kind of, I don't know, close calls, or kind of any super traumatic incidents that happened while you were running those 3 apartments?
Yeah. So so yeah, actually, watch. So leading back to where I was at real quick, he was like, I saw those bricks, I was like, okay, and he put them up, and I looked, and there was the taco truck, man. There was a fucking taco truck, and I said, what? He said, yeah, load them up, and I said, okay, shoot, I'm not going to tell him no.
Yeah.
So I'm out there and I'm loading it up, and I come in my truck, and guess who's got to pull the taco truck? Well, it's a trailer, sorry. I had to pull it, and so I'm going across the border, and I'm pulling it. And I mean, not going across the border, but like going across the border as a sense, like I could see the border. We're on the U.S. side, but I could see the border. And our excuse is we sell tacos. I speak really good English, like you said, So, hey, man, I sell tacos. This is my license, this, that, and the other. And so after a while, I made really good money. That's when I started getting my bricks for really, really cheap. And I said, you know what? Enough is enough. And the only reason why I said enough is enough, man, was because after my grandpa passed away, that's what made me feel really numb,
Yeah.
And so I got really deep into the game because I didn't feel anything. I didn't care.
Right.
When I was kicked out, since my grandpa wasn't there, my uncle kind of took me in, gave me a place to shower, place to go to the bathroom at, whatnot. And so when he passed away, it really hurt me, because that was, a really close person to me.
Yeah.
And I would take him to his doctor's appointment since I had my license and whatnot, and so unfortunately he passed away. And this was during my hustle game, where I was getting a lot of money coming in.
Yeah.
But I'm talking a lot, man.
That's good shit.
I'm talking about $8,000 a day.
God damn, man. In your fucking pocket.
In my pocket. Not profit. Profit, I'm talking about $2,000 a day if it's a good day.
Oh, that's a better day than I had today. I promise you that. Now, were you ever tempted to use the product, or would you just pretty much steer clear of that shit?
I was never, ever, ever tempted to use the product, but unfortunately, when I first started out, I wouldn't use gloves, and by touching it, you would get the contact high.
Yeah. And I've never, I've never experienced heroin, fortunately, in my life. But I hear that, the first time you try heroin, you spend the rest of your addiction chasing that first high. So that's probably a good thing on your part that you never went beyond just getting that little contact high on your hands.
Yeah, definitely. No, man, and this is where kind of I was running away, from the helicopter and stuff, because I wasn't addicted to heroin. I was putting all my money where? Not buying drugs. I was putting all my money in my truck. I bought a truck. I bought a 2005 Chevy Silverado 5.3 LS engine for $5,000, and I put at least $8,000 in it. I got dual heads, performance transmission. I was in a car club that later on actually murdered someone, so I had to take my stickers off so I wouldn't be followed.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but I was in a car club, so for extra points I had to add a sunroof. So I paid like $1,000 to add a freaking sunroof.
Really?
Cut a hole through my freaking hood and turn
fucking wiener.
But right, whatever it is, But hey, and so I would get deep into racing, and that's when I really got caught up. First time getting pulled over, I was in my truck, and I burned out at the corner, didn't see the cop. I was with my homie, and my homie said, hey, slow down, 5-0. I was like, what? So, of course, by the time we passed, we were going about 20 miles over the speed limit, because the freaking 12 was right there. I didn't know. And so I speed up, because he was a motorcycle one. I know those motherfuckers are assholes, man. They're specifically traffic officers, so they're assholes. That's
Yeah.
all they're looking for. And so, man, I step on it. I'm like, all right, I got a fast ass truck. Let's go.
Yeah.
I go. And I turned down the wrong corner, man. I turned on the wrong corner and boom, got busted
Dude, but like
right before I turned 18.
for the shit that you were doing in your life and for the stuff that you were doing, but to just get simply caught for kind of just like burning tires and racing, and here you are like putting $10,000 cash in your pocket every day and pushing these fucking people around these apartments and shit like that, and for you to like take the fall over some little shit just running up and down the streets, I think that's pretty the irony is pretty good right there, buddy.
Right, I know, and I'm such a good racer. I'm such a fast driver. You see how I didn't say fast racer and good driver? Dang it. I guess I'm not a good driver, no. I mean, shoot, I've raced several people, and I've done a lot of stunts, and it's crazy how that one time, man, I got caught. But
Yeah.
so basically, my uncle had passed away, and I didn't go to his funeral or anything, because the last funeral I went to was my grandpa's.
Yeah.
And so, me knowing who God was, because prior to this, I was a catechist, I was a Catholic teacher.
Sure.
So yeah, I was a Catholic teacher after I got kicked out. Sorry, I know we were talking about the whole gang stuff. So after I got kicked out, I turned to church and I finally got baptized. And I said, hey, you know what? I like this. I found my Lord. And then I really hit rock bottom. And so that's when my cousin was like, hey, well, you know what? You make good money. And that's when I entered into the heroin game after I knew who my Lord was and after I preached his name.
Okay.
And so, that part is really challenging for me to say. I don't really say it a lot and I don't say it proudly, because it's not something I hold very high up there. But, so after that, I didn't go to my uncle's funeral. I didn't want to. The pastor had a dream, the pastor of the church that my family goes to. And I say pastor because I was the only Catholic in the family. So they went to a separate church, and the pastor had a dream that my uncle appeared to him in the funeral home. And the pastor was the only one that was able to see him. And the pastor said, oh, I know why you're here. You're here to say bye. And he said, no, I'm here to tell you to take care of Güero because if you don't, he's going to die soon.
Wow.
And it's like every time I tell that story, it just gives me goosebumps. It just reminds me of who our Lord is today,
Sure.
So he just woke up and he prayed, called my dad in the middle of the night, prayed. The next day, mind you, I'm in my nice truck, selling, and I wake up at 12, meaning noon, and I go to sleep at 3 a.m. Don't call me in between then. If you call me in between then and you're blowing up my phone, I'm making you wait 3 hours at least. Don't tell me you need to get high that bad that you're calling me for that stupid reason. You're going to wake me up? Nope. Yep. And so one day, I just pulled up to the house that we lived in because I had paid for it. I was making really good money. So my whole family lived with me. Yeah. Mind you, the ones that kicked me out, I said, hey, guys, come live with me. I mean, at the end of the day, all I wanted was my family. I'm not a bad guy. I'm sorry I sell drugs. That's not who I really am. I just want to be my family. I need money.
About that fucking money, brah.
So I walk in, and unfortunately, all of the church members are there. And it's usual for them to gather around and eat pozole, and read Bible verses and sing, but that particular day was just irritating to me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I didn't know why. Until I walked in to use the restroom, coming out, my dad hugged me. And, my dad being, the tough, macho Mexican that he is, he doesn't hug me, and really, he never really tells me that he loves me or anything. He hasn't told me that in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And so he hugged me and he started tearing up and he told me that he loved me. And so I teared up, and I hugged him tight and I was like, what happened? I thought his mom had passed away or something. And that's when he told me the story, of the dream. And I just cried, it's like, man, so I really stopped everything. And 1 week after I stopped everything, all of the apartments that I had ran got raided by the
Really?
SWAT team. Yeah, all 3 apartments. And my cousin was he got caught up at a tire shop, dude. He wasn't even at the apartments. He was at a tire shop. This is how I knew that they were looking for me, okay? They were at a tire shop and they had him. And so for the longest time I switched cars and everything, and I had one apartment that was in my name. I went to the apartment complex and boom, they raided it. They
Really?
took my couch or my couches, right? They took all my TVs. All my TVs. I had like 3 flat screen TVs in a 2 bedroom apartment. I had my beds, and when I say they took everything, they literally stripped everything. And then when I went to go fight the case, the judge said one thing. He said, "Prove to me that you got it with legal money."
Holy
That's when
shit.
it hit me. That's when I was like, "Damn it." And
Yeah.
I was scared, I was like, well, I can't. And so they took away my truck, took away my freaking apartment, so I couldn't get anything back,
Yeah.
and so, it was like I worked all of that,
Going
and I didn't get anything back.
well, going back to I guess the apartments part, like that wasn't the only thing you were doing. Like you had to check in with people that owed you money, right? Or were they having you kind of run around town trying to collect on money that was owed by some of these people doing the drugs?
Wow, man. You're good at asking questions.
Yeah,
Are
that's
you
why
an
they call me the
investigator?
delicious Nickalicious. Okay.
Oh, man. Yeah, actually, when I first started out, it wasn't so easy for my cousins to just say, "Oh, this is my cousin. He makes good money."
Yeah.
I had to tag along with them, and every time people wouldn't pay, they'd be like, "Who's this? Who's this?" And like, "Oh, this is Güerito. This is the pistolero. Like, this is the gunman. This is the hitman. Like, don't fuck around, man. You owe money. This is who I came to
Yeah.
have you meet. This is the person who you're gonna pay your life to if you don't pay up." And
Shit.
yeah, never did I want to pull the trigger, but hey, the time comes. I mean, shoot, I'm pulling the trigger before I get told to pull the trigger. I don't, and I get murdered.
Well, you don't have to tell me if you've ever killed anybody, because that would be, that would be an inappropriate question to ask somebody. But have you ever fired a gun at someone before?
Plenty of times.
What?
And I've been shot at plenty of times.
Yeah. How? Like, for instance, like a drive. I would think you probably. This is just a guess, and you haven't told me this, and this is kind of speculation, but I would speculate in that business and kind of in that mafia, Mexican mafia mentality. I guess if I was the one pulling the strings, I would have someone like you performing drive-by shootings. Would kind of be like, if I were the one pulling the strings, because that's like without actually putting bodies in the ground. That's a way to scare somebody into paying the money.
I have.
Yeah, and would it mostly be anytime that you had to be a part of something like that? Was it normally money driven, like, or was it like respect stuff, like people on the wrong territory? What oftentimes was the catalyst for like someone to say, "Hey, I need you to perform a fucking drive-by shooting tonight"?
My first time it was because a homie of mine, it was over $100. You know how stupid that sounds
dude.
now?
I've seen guys kill each other for ramen noodles in prison, though, so I fucking believe that shit, dude.
Yeah, so out in the streets, man, we ain't messing around, especially not in Arizona. We're border gang out here. It's very dangerous. My first time doing or participating in a drive-by, I was going after them for $100 that was owed to my homie. Second time, it was due to respect. Someone had mentioned that they had I don't know, that they knew my homie and that he knew my name and this, that, and the other, and that he knew who I was, and he was from a different territory. He was from Sunny Slope. And so I didn't like that, because first of all, Maryville is right with Sunny Slope. Maryville is the area where all the mafia members live. That's where they take their stuff. And the Sunny Slope is where all the tweakers live, so we don't like them. And so I was like, what? And so and so he told me where he was at, and so I pulled up, and fortunately enough, I beat his ass right there at the bus stop. And then I went to his house. I
Shot that
went to his
motherfucker
house,
up.
and I did. I mean,
Jesus, man.
man, I don't even know what to say. I have no resistance. I have no resistance.
But see, man,
Once I swing, man, it's going.
but see, that's like, that's the, I guess the preconceived notion from just me being some fucking fat white dude in the basement. When you talking about the Mexican Mafia or the cartel, you're just like, man, them motherfuckers are cutthroat. Like they don't fucking care. It's like it doesn't matter. They don't fucking care. And like, do they try and still, like when they're trying to, because obviously it's not like, for someone like you that's not using the shit, that's not like fucking using the shit and getting fucking high, that's kind of just like out there working, someone's going to take notice of that and be like, okay, we can trust this dude. And part of that, when you're such a young guy, part of that grooming, I guess grooming you for whatever was next in your career at that point, do they teach you like that mentality? Like, hey, you don't give a, like no one fucking matters except for us standing right here. Or like, is that just something you kind of pick up, or they kind of groom you that way?
I was born that way.
Okay.
At the end of the day, being born and raised in Maryville, my family runs a gang out there in Maryville. I really don't want to say their names.
No, you don't have to.
But we run a gang out there in Maryville, and we're pretty well known. I get pulled over, and they want to list names and say, "Oh, you're from Maryville." The police officers don't like me because they know my record. But at the end of the day, it's something that I just always knew. And that's what they liked about me. My name, I'm not even going to say I earned it, because that's bullshit. I didn't earn it, man.
Right.
I was born with it.
Okay.
And my real name is so unique. I am just a unique person. I go out there and I attack everything. I attack everything full force. I don't ask questions. I fuck shit up first and then ask questions last, because at the end of the day, I'm not the one getting hurt. And I don't follow anyone's rules. If I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. Who's going to make me do it? You can't be afraid of any man whatsoever. And at the end of the day, you can't be afraid of death. You can go ahead and make a choice and say, well, you know what? I don't want to die today, because that's you controlling it. But at the end of the day, I've been right there. I've had a gun pointed to my face, and not once did I shed a tear. I shake, and I have anxiety and whatnot, but I just stand there, and that's all I did, man. I just stood there, I just looked at him in the eyes, and I just shook, and I just looked at him in the eyes with my fist clenched. I wanted to swing so bad. That was the only thing that I could think about. And so what did I do? I punched him right in the fucking throat, man. And it is what it is at the end of the day, because I don't feel bad.
Yeah. He
pointed the gun at me, and so when I say I've shot at people, hell yeah, I've shot at people, when they deserve it. Don't point a gun at my face, it's right. Disrespectful. Don't disrespect my name. Don't be in my territory. Don't threaten my family or me, my family being my friends, because mind you, through all of this, man, I've knocked down doors. I've, hit people with bats, and the people that I've hit with bats, like this work was with the Mafia. The work that I said prior, with the gun pointed at me, that was just all work, in the streets, in the square, with people showing them that I am the OG that they know me to be, because I have to live up to a reputation, but swinging at people with bats, that was the Mafia's relationship, man. When you rape a girl, where you talk about a minor in a certain way, we don't take that politely whatsoever. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Like us, we're not direct Mafia, but we're Mafia related. So if someone does something appropriate to my niece or my second cousin, I'd be like, hey, boom, and the Mafia be on it real quick, no questions asked, and so who was that person? It's kind of like the biker gang. I was a prospect. I'd be sent out there. I was young, I was heartless, I didn't care. My grandpa, my uncle had passed away. I was boom out there, boom.
Yeah, nothing to fucking lose, man.
Yeah, and so I was just out there. No one ever taught me. I remember kicking down doors and straight hitting people with baseball bats, breaking their kneecaps, and hurting their fingernails. I mean, dude, there's explicit stuff that I can go into. It's crazy.
You can if you want anything you want to. Any like what like and as far as one of the most, I guess carnage, like the most. I don't want to say the bloodiest scene, you know, but what's one, I guess, scenario that kind of sticks out in your mind to say, like, God damn, that was a savage ass fucking day, or God damn, that was that was a cold blooded day, buddy. What's something that sticks out in your mind the most?
I had it out for one dude, right? He had made me mad, super mad, because I found out that he was going out with the minor, and that the minor had ran away from the house, and this minor was my ex.
Okay.
And so I was super mad. And like I said, you know, minor, I'm 17 years old, you know, so I'm a minor at that time too. That's my ex-girlfriend, and you're going out with a 23-year-old. You ran away from home, and I just said I loved you, and a couple months later, you're out here with a 23-year-old running away.
Yeah,
you know?
that's fucked up, man.
You know, and so you know, and it was my best friend's sister. And so I said, nah, man, you know what? We're gonna go and we're gonna find her. So we go and find her, you know, and mafia shit, right? We're on mafia shit right now. We knock down the door, boom, and they're in the room. They're asleep. You know, it's 2 a.m. in the morning.
Your ex-girlfriend and that 23-year-old dude were in there asleep together?
Yep.
Oh, shit, dog.
I know. They rented a studio, and we found out because, well, we had license plate number, and we had tracked the license plate number back to the house.
Oh, no.
Because that's what it was addressed to. Don't ask how we got ties. We just got ties.
No, I understand.
Right?
I don't need to ask that question.
And so, boom, we show up. And that's when I had my baseball bat. And I started just bashing his knees. Bah! Bah! My homie was with me in the mafia. You know, it was just me, 2 members of the mafia, and my homie. So it was just 4 of us. Because in a car, you can only seat 5. And we were going to bring my girlfriend back, my ex-girlfriend back.
Yeah, no.
And so it was only us 4. And so, you know, my homie goes to his sister, you know, and he's like, nah, get up. We're leaving. You know, you're coming back home. And while my homie's in the truck, you know, because I told him, all right, like, this is beyond what you can hold. Like, you know that I'm OG. You know that I'm Weddle. You know I come from the west side of Maryville. Let's go, baby. But, you know, like, you got to go. You got to kick it in the car. You can't see what's about to go down, you know? And so, boom, he takes his sister back to the car. I'm not going to let his sister see what we're doing to him, you know? And boom, just started swinging at his kneecaps. And the whole time, he was just crying, stop, 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 you know? And, like, what was going through my mind is I just did not care. Like, first of all, dude, you're a fucking 23-year-old. And you're illegal coming from Mexico. And you're going to come into my country and do that to our girls?
Yeah. Was it a metal bat or was it a wooden baseball bat?
Oh, it was wooden. I felt the vibration each time I swung it.
Okay, yeah.
Each time I swung and hit, I felt the vibration. You know, eventually we took out a razor blade, and you know what I did? I pulled down his pants, and we literally sliced his genitals. Not all the way through, but we left it to where it would scar him. You know, and that's that anyone who he wants to have any intimacy with, they'll realize, hey, what's up with this? What the fuck happened, man?
Holy shit. If you did that to me, I'd have got a boner. That'd have been hot.
Oh, hey, maybe I had it doing it. You don't know. But hey.
So but the intention there was to scar his penis up. So from that
100%.
From that point on, anytime he tried to be intimate with anyone ever again, they would say, you know, there's a story behind what happened to your dick, and I want to know what it is. And then he'd have to say, you know, I was, you know, he probably would never say it, but he would have to think about it. It would be in the back of his mind, like, I was with a little girl, and this is the fucking consequences from that. It's
nothing compared to what I wanted to do, man.
Yeah.
When I tell you I blacked out. I remember choking him. He was against the wall, and I was choking him with the bat. It was just crazy, you know. This girl, it wasn't just my ex-girlfriend. She was my first love, you know.
Yeah,
and so, you know, being affiliated with the mafia and having so much control, I lost it, you know. Like, who am I? I'm Weddle. Boom, this is what I do. My girl knows what happens when you mess with me, and boom, you mess with me. So now you got to feel my wrath.
God, that's not, and that wasn't even over like mafia. Well, I guess it kind of was, but that was more like a personal vendetta too, which makes it that much more. It makes you that much more passionate about inflicting pain and inflicting like fucking blood. Like you want to see blood come out of this person in that when it's like so personal in a situation like that.
Yeah. You know, some things that the mafia does is when they have large amounts of drugs, what they'll do is they'll get three lines, they'll line them up, or three cars, they'll line them up, and they'll put one of the packages in the cars, you know, in between the three cars, they'll go drive. So if they get followed, they just split up and they don't know who to follow. And I
Yeah,
used to be one of those people too, so that's how I used to get some of my reputation as well.
as a
Just
fucking
crossing the
driver.
border with $50,000 with me, you know, driving freaking trailers full of bricks. I even helped drive people from Phoenix to LA several times, you know. I mean, it's crazy the shit that I've been through, man. And it's just, you know, being in Phoenix, Arizona, growing up rough.
Yeah, man, it's life, dude. I mean, honestly, you just go where life takes you, and you try and make the best of the situation.
Oh yeah, I mean, shoot, I've been beaten. You know, like I'm not gonna say I haven't. You know, I've been pistol whipped. You know, I've been hit by a pistol. 9 millimeter. I took it to my left side of my face. I had braces at the time, so
Man,
my lips actually, yeah, my lips actually stuck to my braces, and it was all bleeding and stuff. And I couldn't stop. You know, I was running to my car after that because all I heard was pop, pop, pop. You
shit.
know, and we're close, you know, and so I'm like, shit, you know, I'm about to get shot, you know, and so boom, we just go in my car and we dip it, you know, as soon as I turn the corner, I don't even wait. I pull down the sun visor, open it up so that the light comes on, I detach my braces, and I don't feel anything, to be honest, you know.
Jesus.
I felt no pain whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I rolled up a backwood. I'm not sure if you guys know what a backwood is. It's basically like a big tobacco leaf with like 3.5 grams of marijuana, you know. And me, I always had ball marijuana, you know. And so I rolled a backwood and I smoked that. I got super high while driving to Burger King. Asked for fries with
Oh.
no salt, right? Because you can't have salt with a bloody mouth.
Yeah.
Went to the hood hospital, right? Why go to a hood hospital? You want
No
good
shit.
service, you don't go to a hood hospital.
No.
But I went to the hood hospital and like, what happened to the? Oh, I got pistol whipped. And it don't hurt? Nah, it don't hurt. You're gonna feel it in the morning.
Yeah.
Shit, they gave me hydrocodone and stuff. It was crazy, but
Well,
you know, shoot. I mean, I've been beaten. I've been shot at. I've shot at people. I've done laundering, money laundering. I've done human trafficking, knocked down doors, collections, whole 9 yards,
we
man.
could, like, I planned on this interview being an hour long, and we're already at an hour right now. And I feel like we could probably have you back. If you would want to do, if you would want to do it again, I could definitely have you on again.
Yeah.
If you want. But before we end this session of the interview, now, obviously you've talked about how that's kind of like all of that stuff is in the past for you at this point. I guess my next question is, I know one of the things that is associated closely with gangs is once you're in a gang, you're in. Once you're out, and it's like blood in, blood out, which means you got to make blood to get in, and you're gonna fucking bleed in order to get out. Was there a process? Maybe you weren't, you know, when you did decide to distance yourself from that operation, was there like a blood process, or was it just like, you know, the respect was there? You're like, kind of, you know, I got to put my life in perspective right now and do what I got to do. How was it when you tried to step out?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question there. So actually, when I got out, you know, I was, like I said, the OG, you know. At that point, you know, when I got out of the streets, you know, before I started selling heroin, it was just like, hey, I'm going ghost, guys. And I literally went ghost. I moved to Ohio, and so I stayed a couple months in Ohio. When I came back, everyone's like, whoa, where'd you go? You know, and then
Yeah.
after a while, you know, I started up again, and then after that, everyone just knew, you know. It's like, all right, you know, well, shoot. the homie got the hookup anyways. He got the hookup for anything. No one really messed with me because I was the OG of the neighborhood, you know. But then when it came to selling heroin, they let me go, to be honest. You know, after I made them so much money, I was shoot, my boss was so happy and so proud of me. He even hits me up to this day sometimes, you know, and offers me work, and I tell him no.
Yeah.
You know, but we just have that mutual respect because I've made him so much money and I'm so young, you know. He's an actual father, you know, so he's like, you know what, you're young, you know, you're good, brother, you know, you go do you.
Yeah.
You don't want this job, all right, cool. He don't give me no hassle about it or anything.
That's good shit, man. I mean, for the sake of having you around, I know how much you mean to my kids, and I know how much you mean to our family. For the sake of all that, man, I hope that you can, you know, stay on the righteous path that you're stepping on right now, brother. I really do hope that. But for the sake of this podcast and all the cool fucking stories, if you do decide to take that step off the path and go back into the jungle, man, we've always got an open ear for you if you want to talk.
For sure, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's blessed to be here now, you know, and next time we hop on this, you know, hopefully it'll be more about who I am today and how you can, you know, really come out of a deep mental mind state of, you know, being numb after losing your mentors, you know, after not having your family who's there for you, you know. I grew up with my family. My parents didn't take care of me. My grandpa was, you know, and he passed away, you know. So how do you move on from there? You know, how do you make so much money? You profit $2,000 on a good day.
Yeah.
How do you just stop, you know? So hopefully people learn, you know, wherever you're at in life, man, you're blessed. As long as you can walk, talk, hear, see, you're blessed.
That's an important thing to hear right now, man, because a lot of people are going through the shit, and a lot of people are just struggling with the way things are right now. So I think that it's a good message to hear that no matter where you're at in the, you know, you could be at the bottom of the dumps, man, but you know we're fucking going through it together, and we're getting through it. So
my prayers are always out there. The more we pray together, then the more our voices are heard, and the more things will change.
I feel that, man. Well, I'm so thankful for you coming on the show. I'm going to put this episode up tonight so the whole Brohio Nation can hear this interview. But I appreciate you coming on, man. I really do. So everybody, this is Guero, right? Did I say that right?
Correct, Guero.
All right. So thanks again, man. I'm gonna end the interview, but I'm gonna keep on talking to you. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.